Yo, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Men Underground Music Show. My name is Mint, and today we're going to get into some more Two Live Crew. I have a few more Two Live Crew albums to go through. Sorry left you guys, kept you guys waiting and stuff like that, but we're back, okay? So with that being said, we're going to move on into this. I'm going to be real quick, real speedy. As fast as possible, but also as thorough as possible, and hopefully you guys are left entertained. At the end of the day, I do appreciate everybody tuning in, liking, sharing, subscribing. My subscribership is up to the amount where I can start doing some lives. So I'm considering going live just to take some questions and answers on my collection behind me, in front of me, and other places. If you guys have questions, just some live questions and so forth, just trying to get some live interaction, basically. So I believe I'm able to do that now that my subscribers are up. I qualify for that. There is a qualification here on YouTube, and I just want to thank you to those of you guys who have subscribed. To those of you guys who have been commenting, thank you as well. I always comment back, like, or whatever, respond. Keep coming with it. Some people have questions. I like answering questions. I love questions, to be honest with you. And some people educate me, so I really appreciate that. So continue to like, share, subscribe, and comment, whether it be questions, concerns, or suggestions. So without further ado, we're going to dig into this, continue our Two Live Crew conversation. As I said, I'm not going in order of the release date of the albums. I'm going in order of the titles of the albums. The title of the artist, then the title of those artists' albums. So next up is what we have here is Two Live Crew's actually their first album, which is Two Live Crew Is What We Are. All right. Now, they had singles that led up to this album and so forth like that, but this is their first altogether one album. Now, the Two Live Crew Is What We Are. Is right here. On this album cover, you're going to see three people. They're missing Mr. Mix on this cover photo. To the left, right here, in the Hurricanes, the jacket that says Hurricanes is Fresh Kid Ice, aka the Chinaman. The cat inside of the black Jeep Cherokee. I don't know if it's a Cherokee Cherokee, or I think it's a Cherokee. I believe it's a Cherokee, which was the stuff back in the days. Jeep Cherokees and Volkswagen Jettas and Audi 5000s were the stuff back then in the hood. But the guy in the seat is actually Luke Skywalker, Uncle Luke Campbell, and to the right is Brother Marquise. Rest in peace to Brother Marquise and Fresh Kid Ice once again. This is their first album. It didn't have a parental advisory, but it had a parental advisory right here in white. Right next to my finger that I'm tapping on. Now, on the back of this is on Luke Skywalker Records. As you can see, the Luke Skywalker Records is in color. And this is the original version. Now, when you read the back, it has everybody's name and title. And at this time, Luther Campbell was captured as being the manager, not a group member, but a manager. And it also explains that Fresh Kid Ice was an MC, Brother Marquise was an MC, Treacherous DJ Mr. Mix, the DJ, and Luke Skywalker / manager. You'll see this about right here. I don't know, I'm blocking things, but I want to say right here. You'll see that. Now, some of the title tracks on here, is Two Live Is What We Are, aka Word. We want some PU $Y. Check It Out, which is a freestyle of everybody rapping. And back then, it was only 2 rappers, Brother Marquise and Fresh Kid Ice, and that's who was rapping on this entire album. No Luke Skywalker rapping. Get It Girl. Get It Girl. And if you know, hey, we want some, you know what I mean? And the track that really made them big in Miami, Throw That D. Throw That Dick. Throw That D. That was a major jam in the Pac Jam club, which was a teenage club for a lot of the Miami kids in that area. This club was known to be frequent, like the likes of Trick Daddy, Trina, what's the actress name? Gloria something, whatever. There's all types of people who grew up in Miami and used to go there. So it was a very popular club back in the day. But that's the song that actually put the 2 Live Crew from Riverside, California on the map. Now, speaking of that, actually, I'm going to come back to that. Cut It Up is another song. Beatbox, the remix version. It's by Bob Rosenberg. I don't know if Bob Rosenberg is related to the other Rosenbergs within the music industry, but maybe he is, like Paul Rosenberg and others. And then Mr. Mix on the mix. Now, going back to Throw That D, it says specifically on this album, Throw That D was recorded and mixed at Studio One in Riverside, California. That's the song, like I said, that got Miami's attention, to the 2 Live Crew, and Luke's attention, which made him go and sign him as a manager at this time. So this is the album. All the rest of the songs apparently were recorded in Miami at the Sonic Sound International recording studio. So with that being said, you know, this is a dope album. It's a classic album. Out of all these songs, some of the songs that are the most known is Throw That D. Hey, we want some, you know. And Get It Girl. Now, beatbox. That was a nice one too. Now, the sound of this album at the beginning is reminiscent of, like, rappers were really trying to figure out themselves. So at this time, this was during the era of almost the techno hip hop sound, but Run DMC made some waves when they had Walk This Way out a few years prior. So you had a rock and roll influence on this album, especially for Live Is What We Are, 2 Live Is What We Are, and we want some you know what. So those albums, and that's the original version of Hey, we want some, you know. And those were the songs that were more rock influenced with a hip hop taste, little b-boy beat machine, beatbox machine type of sound. The rest of the songs were more techno hip hop type influence sounds and so forth like that. And what we know today as, like, you know, heavy sampled and break beats and stuff like that. You know what I mean? This album, if I had to rate it, some people are going to call it a classic. So if you're like into Miami bass or just the Miami sound or just hip hop in general, people are going to say this is a classic album because it's 2 Live Crew. I do like this album. For me personally, I don't put it on the classic list. You're going to find that a lot of albums that you guys might feel are classic albums might not necessarily be classic to me. Now, there's classic songs on this album, but it's not a classic album to me. Okay, I would say As Nasty As They Want to Be is more of a classic album out of the 2 that I went over so far. You know what I mean? I would say the band album is more of a classic album than this one, but it's still a great album. Now, it's super hard. I only own this version, which is the original version. Now, there's some things I haven't showed you yet. For example, the inside has a white background on the inside, and the CD is in color, which is yellow and green. And you can see the logo on there, Luke Skywalker logo on there. That's the how the disc looks, and the catalog number is XR-100. And being 100, This is the first CD version and so forth. Also, one of the things you're going to notice, it doesn't have a UPC barcode on here as well. So this was just being sold as is at that time. It wasn't being tracked. I'm assuming that this was before SoundScan or any of that stuff was implemented into the music industry. All right. How do I rate Two Live Crew Is Who We Are? I'm going to rate it based on my experience back then and actually looking back. So what I mean by that is, back then, I would have probably rated it about a 9, probably even a 10, because of who the Two Live Crew was at that time. What they were talking about, their content. We never really heard anybody talk the way they did. The subject matters around sex or the call and response being used this way. You know what I mean? Last time I was talking about them sort of creating a call and response within hip hop. They did not create it though. You know what I mean? You got people like Cap Calloway, howdy, 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 ho, you know, all that stuff, you know. But I believe they're one of the people, not even in hip hop who started it, but one of the ones who I would say were best at this craft as far as a call and response, getting the crowd to respond. So anyhow, back in the day, I would have probably rated it probably a 9 or a 10. Today, I would probably rate it about a 5. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's not good, not bad, so I'm going to drop it somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? But we have those songs. Those songs don't hit me as much as they used to. I am reminiscent of them and so forth like that, but it's a different time for me. You know what I mean? So today I will rate it as a 5. Now, you know, with that being said, if you feel different, write it below. Let me know. Second up is Two Live Crew's live in concert. Two Live Crew live in concert. It's all of their songs that they're known for, such as the ones that I was talking about. Throw That D. We want some, you know what? Face Down. A Up, Butt Up. Come On, Babe. 1 and 1. We're having some fun in the bedroom all day and all of the night. You know. Mr. Mix Turntable Show Part 1 and 2. Mr. Mix, that's the thing about this era. The DJ was still the man in this era. They had a lot of songs, especially going back to the previous song, Two Live Is What We Are. There were a lot of things like beatbox and all those things. That song, beatbox and other things, was dedicated to the DJ, and the MCs were rapping about how cold their DJs were. This was still that time. Now, Two Live Is What We Are, I forgot to tell you when it came out. That came out in 1986. This Greatest Hits came out in 1990. Now, the difference between, of course, it's a totally different album, but there's a switch up now. This is no longer Luke Skywalker Records, or Luke Records. It's on Effect Records. Let me show you. Effect Records. Effect Records is effectively a subsidiary rap label of the Luke Skywalker Luke Records. I think during this time, I'm not for certain, it's just speculative, no actual evidence or anything like that. Why did I even say evidence? But there's no proof to say that Luke was doing this. But I want to say probably when he created the Effect Records, it probably had something to do with taxes, because we know he was dealing with some tax issues around this time, which is how he lost his record label. And I think he was probably changing up the names and so forth for tax purposes, to avoid them taking the proceeds of everything. I think he was really trying to figure out ways to backdoor things during this time. Really trying to figure out within his power what he could do to save money or keep the record label going. So I believe that he might have created Effect Records, quote unquote Effect Records, and that's EFFECT. records for those purposes. I could be wrong though. If anybody has any other information to share on that, please do so. But this will be one of the albums that came out on Effect Records before Lil Joe stole their rights and masters to the remaining albums and so forth. But some of the other songs on here that are real well known is the F Shop, Move Something, Me So Horny, and Band in the USA. So this album actually came out effectively after the Luke LP featuring the Two Live Crew, the band album. This album came out with that. So there's really nothing new on these, but I believe and I think that if you don't have this, you still should have this in your collection if you're a Two Live Crew fan, just to round out your whole collection. Make sure that it's a solid collection. Now, it says it includes great songs never released before. Unfortunately, I can't identify what those unreleased songs were. Maybe at that time they were unreleased, but all these songs I'm aware of. So since then, I got, yeah. And it's a little hype sticker right there, right there in the yellow, that says that. But that's a marketing thing. At that time, it more than likely was true. But since this album's came out, those songs have been out. So, yes, this one is still brand new sealed. I am not going to open this. All right. Now that we've went over Two Live Crew live in concert, how do I rate it? How do I rate this one? It's a little bit different than this is Two Live Is Who We Are. Reason why? It's basically a live in concert. It's live in concert. It's a cool sound and so forth like that. But I'm familiar with all the songs on that. Although my copy was sealed, you can still go listen to it online. I had to go back and listen to it online and see where my head was at with that. I'm going to rate it slightly higher than this is what we are. Two Live Crew is what we are, because it's basically essentially like a greatest hits, but a live in concert greatest hits, right? So it has all their best stuff. So I'm not actually going to say slightly. I'm going to give it more. I'm going to give it like a 8 out of 10, because it has all the songs that not all, but most of the songs that I would like to have on my Two Live Crew set if I was DJing or something. You know what I'm saying? I would like to have a lot of those songs that are included on there. Now, the live in concert version, no, not so much. It's totally different sound live in concert than it is an actual studio recording, the way it's set up and everything else like that. So that would probably be why it's an 8, possibly a 7, but I'm going to give it an 8. Would be a 10 because of the songs, but I don't like the live versions as much, the live version of this album, as much as I like the actual studio album. Now, there are live versions that I do like. Like, there's that Jay-Z one from back in the day, the Unplugged one on MTV. I like that version of live. So I would probably rank that a little bit higher. This one, not so much. By the time Jay-Z came around versus Two Live Crew, people's sound, the clarity of the microphones, the recording devices, and people's knowledge and experience on how to do a live concert had improved by leaps and bounds. So that's probably why, you know what I mean? And from the entertainment aspect, the way Jay-Z was able to capture the audience according to each song to capture that mood. Like, you changed moods with him and so forth. And that's what I mean. That's experience there, you know what I mean? And it's people like the Two Live Crew who has been the catalyst for him to learn from their mistakes so he could improve upon it to get there, if you understand what I'm saying. Coming up next week, we're going to get into the Two Live Crew Move Something album. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different versions of that album. So, with that being said, be ready to talk about those. We'll go into more details about the difference in those variations, whether they be a U.S. release, overseas release, first press and second press. And I really don't know because I haven't dug into them and I don't remember exactly what I have. That's an actual problem for me, not knowing what you have in your collection anymore. And especially after 2 years of them being in the storage, I haven't been able to thumb them or have my hands on them to really remember everything that I have. I do know I have the first version. I'm sure I have the second version, but I don't know about the other versions that I have. But we'll go through those, dissect them, do some comparisons, and educate ourselves on the differences. Now, all of these albums that I've been talking about, like 2 Live is What We Are, the 2 Live in concert today, and the previous topic, As Dirty as They Want to Be and As Clean as They Want to Be. They all have multiple versions. I don't own every single version to go through. Even on this Move Something album, which I think is probably a classic album as well. That's more of the classic album to me than This Is What We Are. This Is Who We Are, I mean. I feel like that's much more of a classic album, so I have more versions of that. However, I don't have all the versions. For example, 2 Live is Who We Are has probably like 24 versions, not CD, but a combination of CDs, tapes, and vinyl. A total of 24 versions. I don't own all the versions. Some people, if you want to go own all the versions, cool. I don't do that unless it's an album or artist that I really, really like. You know what I mean? I've seen people in their collections posting entire like versions of Nas Illmatic album, entire versions of Tupac, Me Against the World albums, things like that. Some people really are into that type of stuff. I am too. It's just not the 2 Live crew. And there will be some albums that I will, or topics or artists where I have all the versions or a lot of the versions. I can't say all of the versions, but a lot of the versions. And we'll go through those. I'm also thinking about some of those, unpacking briefly on some of the lives that I plan on doing with you guys. So stay tuned for the lives. I'm still new to this whole YouTube thing, so I think that I'm going to have to figure out how to warn you guys or set up a time for a live so you guys can show up. You know what I mean? If I don't have enough participation, I might just post it under lives and stuff, but I like when people are there to participate, sort of like how I keep on asking you guys to like, share, subscribe, and most of all, make a comment, right? I like when I have people there to interact with. So, and I think that makes both yours and my experience much better. So, until then, my name is Mint. This is episode number 12 of the Mint Underground Music Show. I thank you for tuning in, and I will see you soon. 2 Stokes, and I'm out.